I'm in Napa County, Northern California, Angwin, July of 2019. And I just want to show you guys a property that is properly kept clean to make a defensible space against fire. This is what I call a shaded fuel break. You see we got trees overhead and a canopy that provides shade and that keeps all the weeds down. This guy doesn't spray any chemicals in here to kill weeds. He just mows it in the summer. There's a little bit of stuff coming up that needs to be mowed. It'll be done later this week. And I want to show you a property that's right next door that's not kept clean. It's full of what are called ladder fuels. For those of you that don't know what ladder fuels are, they're basically fuels that allow the fire to go from the ground up into the tree. They're a ladder up into the tree. And this is the problem that we have. The problem isn't the trees. The problem is the ladder fuels. There's a lot of misinformation going around. See the contrast? See, this is a clean property with no ladder fuels, but an overhead canopy that provides shade, and it keeps down the underbrush. It keeps it from growing very fast because brush likes to grow where it's open and sunny. Over here, you've got brush, tons of brush, ladder fuels. So there's a lot of misinformation. Right after the fires last year, the Carr fire, the ranch fire, the Mendocino complex, and the Paradise campfire, which caused a lot of deaths, there was a lot of misinformation going around. There was a lot of government officials saying things like, we need to start cutting down trees. They were implying that trees are the problem and trees are the thing that causes fires, when in reality it's the ladder fuels. And I've broken the ladder fuels into 3 basic categories. I've taken wildland firefighting classes, and I used to be a wildland firefighter. I wasn't for very long, only 5 years, but this is what I do for a living. I do fire abatement, and I clear brush on people's property to make it fire safe. And the problem is the ladder fuels. You got the light fuels, I call those the type 1, which is all your grasses and all that stuff, the light fuels that torch off quickly. Then you've got the medium fuels, you know, dead branches laying on the ground, small shrubs, French broom, things. And then you've got the type 3, which are the ladder fuels that go up into the trees, which are, you know, dead trees and dead limbs on the lower part of the trees that act as a ladder fuel. And shrubs that are large shrubs that grow right up underneath the canopy of trees that are flammable. And I'm not saying that somebody needs to make their property look like a golf course where it has to be perfectly all manicured, but if people would at least get rid of the type 1 and type 2 fuels, all the light grasses, and get rid of the intermediate shrubs. You could even leave some of the larger shrubs, like you know, if you've got a really nice coffee berry bush you want to save, you could have, you know, some, and you got some young trees coming up. There's a tan oak right there. It's not necessarily my favorite tree. We got plenty of them. There's millions of them. They grow like weeds. I would save more like the maples and the black oaks and other oaks, personally, canyon live oak. And there's a nice black oak up there in that property. But this property right here is an example that needs to be cleaned up. So the main reason I'm making this video is just to point out the myth that's going around that trees are the problem and that we need to get rid of trees because trees cause fires. And people need to stop saying that. And that's what you know, even loggers, I met people that have been done logging. They're like a 4th generation logger, and they're like, well, we need to start logging again to prevent fires. Are you kidding me? Logging, when you log out an area, this brush is going to grow 10 times faster because now it's going to get full sunlight. You know, and you can thin a forest, and of course we need to thin. There's a lot of trees in here that are close together. They're way too close together. That needs to be thinned. But you really need, what we really need to do is actually, if you really care about the forest, is save the larger, more stout trees, the large, tall, dominant canopy trees, and save those so that their upper canopy connects together and creates an intact canopy that shades the ground, so you get less fuel growth. And instead of taking out the best trees, you actually take out the intermediate and the inferior trees. But see, that's the logging operations companies, they don't think like that. They want to take the best trees and leave a bunch of cruddy trees and leave it all full of brush and leave the ground all torn up. And they all know that too. I have friends that have been heads of logging crews, and they say that, you know, they know that what clear-cut logging really does, but it's all about money, man. It's all about making quick money, see? Okay, now look at this. See? Nice trees. They've been limbed up. The skirts on some of these trees could be raised a little bit more. It's been a few years. This is a clean forest. See? This is a clean fuel break in here, a defensible space. And here you've just got a total mess.